All right. So good evening. This is the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, March 13th, 2017. And we're calling to order. This is a very short meeting, and we're going to be joining the warrant committee after we finish our few agenda items. We do not have our regular schedule tonight, so we're going to start with a bond issue, and I am going to be recused on this matter because it relates to bonds, and I work with the attorney who is the town's bond counsel. So I'm going to step out of the room and ask David to be the acting chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. We have before us Town Treasurer Jim McAuliffe to explain the bond refunding.
Okay, what we did is there was one last chance to refund the debt we have. Most of it was for the library and about $2 million of it was for the schools. We held the auction. The winning bid was Roosevelt and Cross at 2.127839%. It's going to save the town, well, the taxpayers, $776,074.50 over the next 10 years. So it'll be about $73,000 coming off the tax levy in the next 10 years.
Certainly helps taxpayers.
It definitely helps.
Yeah, we had 9 bids. I mean, it was pretty active, and we got it in before they raised the Fed rate this week.
Well, thank you for your help on that. We have a motion that I'll read now. And it goes, that in order to reduce interest costs, the treasurer is authorized to issue refunding bonds at one time or time to time pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 21A of the general laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority to refund the town's $12,419,455 general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2009 bonds of the town dated January 15, 2009, maturing on January 15th in the years 2018 through 2029, inclusive, in the aggregate principal amount of $7,160,000, the refunded bonds, and that the proceeds of any refunding bonds issued pursuant to this vote shall be used to pay the principal, redemption premium, and interest on the refunded bonds and costs of issuance of the refunding bonds. That the sale of $6,875,000 general obligation refunding bonds of the town dated March 30, 2017, the bonds to Roosevelt and Cross Incorporated at the price of $7,315,490.77 in accrued interest, if any, is hereby approved and confirmed. The bond shall be payable on January 15th of the years and in the principal amounts and bear interest at the respective rates as follows. 2018, $665,000, 4%. 2019, $630, 4%. 2020, $630, 4%. 2021, $630, 4%. 2022, $630, 4%. 2023, $630, 4%. 2024, $625, 4%. 2025, $620, 4%. 2026, $615,000. 2.5%, 2027, $605,000, 2.5%, 2028, $430,000, 2.5%, 2029, $165,000, 2.5%. Then in connection with this, with the marketing and sale of the bonds, the preparation and distribution of a notice sale and preliminary official statement dated March 1, 2017, and a final official statement dated March 9, 2017, the official statement, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, and approved and adopted, that the bond shall be subject to redemption at the option of the town upon such terms and conditions as are set forth in the official statement, that the town treasurer and the board of selectmen be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a continuing disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC Rule 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the bonds for the benefit of the holders of the bonds from time to time. That we authorize and direct the treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures in such form as the treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax-exempt status of the bonds. And that each member of the Board of Selectmen, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Thank you, Jim. Seeing that there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before you leave tonight, I need 2 signatures on every
Sure.
page.
You will have them.
All right.
We appreciate your time, and thanks for all the hard work. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All righty.
Turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
For a limited time, you don't have to take it again.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is a proclamation for a 95th birthday party that we signed last week, and we're just being asked to ratify it tonight.
So I'll propose a motion to ratify a proclamation to celebrate the 95th birthday of resident Harriet Goldman.
I'll second that.
Any discussion, other than to wish her a very happy
Very
birthday?
happy
Very
birthday,
happy
Harriet.
birthday. Good for her.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item is to reopen and close the warrant to substitute an article, and would the town administrator like to speak to this one?
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. So in discussions with the Warrant Committee over the last couple of weeks, we have reformed this article 2 times. Initially, it was to take the credits, solar credits for the panels on Town Hall, and use them for energy efficiency measures in this building exclusively through a revolving account, using revolving funds. We then changed that last week to take the solar credits from this building to use it in any town building. We have further proposed, at the recommendation of the Warrant Committee, to take all solar credits in the town to be able to improve the energy efficiency of all town buildings. So Town Council wrote this article up today, which is in front of you. I can read it very quickly. To see if the town will vote pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 53E, half of the Massachusetts General Laws to establish by bylaw a revolving fund for revenue received from the sale of energy credits related to the operation of solar panels on the roof of the town office building, and for revenue received from the sale of energy credits related to any other town building. To authorize the Consolidated Facilities Director, with the approval of the town administrator, to expend money from such revolving fund for the energy conservation improvements at any town building, to determine a limit on the town total amount which may be expended from such fund during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017, and to act on anything relating thereto submitted by the Board of Selectmen.
Sounds fine to me.
Sounds great.
Okay, so do we have a motion to reopen and close the warrant to substitute this article in place of the existing one?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'll propose to reopen the May 2017 annual town meeting warrant to remove the old Consolidated Facilities Department revolving fund article and to substitute a revised article.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next and last item on our agenda before we recess to the Warrant Committee is a discussion of town meeting articles. The only one that I know of that we've been asked, that we really need to have a discussion about tonight, is at the request of the Warrant Committee. They have asked for the board's position on the Fire Space Needs Committee's article, which is to appoint a building committee. I am going to be recused on that. Before I do recuse myself on that one, the Traffic Commission composition, that's still in flux. We've sent it out to Town Council. The Warrant Committee did have some questions last week that we're following up on with some of the Traffic Commission members. So hopefully we'll be in a position to finalize that one and get it to the Warrant Committee for their meeting a week from tonight. Okay. So I'm going to be recused on the Fire Space Needs article because appointment of building committee makes it a little step closer towards bonding, and for the same reason that I do work with the town's bond council, I'm going to be recused on this, and I will come back before we recess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I can bring you a little bit up to date on, the Capital Committee did review this article last, our last meeting, I think it was last Thursday. Basically, because it was originally calling or suggesting a $2 million authorization. We did inform the Fire Study Committee, who was represented at the meeting, that we couldn't approve or we couldn't recommend $2 million without a capital project, but did agree that it was a worthy endeavor to move the project forward with the building committee. And we did discuss trying to find some nominal amount of money to seed fund it, something to the order of $25,000 to $50,000. So that's going to be the subject of our discussion on Thursday's meeting.
And they'll have the ability to apply for state and federal funds as well.
Sure. Yep.
Which can be very helpful. I think it's a necessity that we do have this committee set up.
I think it brings it one step closer, and it clearly there's a need for, nobody questions the need for new fire stations.
Right.
Either new or rehabilitated ones, but there's certainly need.
It's a good step in the right direction, I agree. Michael, do you have any input on?
No, just to further on that point, Tom, they're coming back to you this Thursday?
We reached out for a recommendation on if we weren't going to fund, or if we weren't going to recommend $2 million, would there be any amount of seed money that, specifically, if we did give them seed money, what likely things would they do with the seed money? So we did get that feedback from Steve Morris the other day.
Okay.
And we'll be discussing it on Thursday.
Now, is one last thing. I mean, if we give them seed money and, they're going to be fairly limited with, they were looking for $2 million. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, the $2 million,
It's a pretty large sum of money.
1.6 of it was for A&E.
Right.
And the problem is to do A&E without an approved capital project means you can bond it over 5 years.
Right.
And that would just croak our debt service.
Absolutely right. Good. Well, it's a step in the right direction. So, any more discussion?
No?
Okay. So we can move on then.
Okay. I can bring you up to date on one other article if you want.
Sure.
That was, because we had asked town council to study
Roadway.
the roadway bill. I did talk briefly to John Flynn around 5 o'clock this afternoon. And there's a couple of issues. Number one is the municipal modernization bill changed the stabilization fund chapter in section general law, which is chapter 40, section 5B, I think. And basically the change in it is an interesting one. It allows you to take, other than tax revenue, a stream of revenue, put it into a stabilization fund without the need for appropriation. So a rental stream or something other than tax revenue can be put into a special purpose stabilization fund with no need for town meeting appropriation, which is kind of interesting. But wasn't sure what that did, because the language that I understand, and I did find the article from DOR that explained it, that if you fund it with an override, then the override dollar sets the ceiling on what you can fund into that stabilization fund. It can increase by 2.5%, that the selectmen have control and must vote every year to continue the stabilization fund at the same amount or reduce it. If they reduce it, that becomes a new ceiling. That's not in the general law. So that was part of the confusion. I did send town council that article. It's a 2008 article on, from DOR. But so I was looking into that, and the second thing, we believe that if we do fund it with override money and want it to be permanent, that it's two separate override votes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know. So you may need to
Yes.
clarify for the warrant committee too.
Yeah.
Okay, then, we have nothing else on our formal agenda, unless there were any other articles that anyone wanted to discuss before we go downstairs.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, we aren't live, so we really can't talk much about tomorrow, the impacts of tomorrow, and
No.
yeah. So unfortunately, but
There's some good information on the town website.
But you've done a good job, Mike, in getting good information out and, with the IT department, and I know you met with the DPW and with public safety, and so we're in good hands. We're in good shape.
Yeah, they're ready to go. The heavy, wet stuff concerns me, only because the majority of the equipment we have are the smaller pickup trucks, but they're going to be out there early. There's plenty of salt on hand. They've done a great job of making sure that they're ready. They're as ready as they can be, so.
Yeah. It sounds like we're going to be fortunate and we're not going to get the big accumulations they're going to get in the western part of the state, but still,
Yeah,
a foot of snow is still a lot of snow.
right, and we
And
don't
heavy
see
winds
recovering
and-
temperatures till, I think, almost a week from now, so.
Yeah.
It's going to
That's
stick
gonna
around.
be around for a
Unfortunately, it's
while.
going to stick around for a while.
Yep.
Us golfers. But thank you, yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right, then, do we have a motion to recess
So moved.
and to attend the warrant
Second.
committee meeting? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Zumba.
So I went to the bacon and bourbon.